Welcome everybody to the spiritual healing cord cutting class. I am so excited to teach this class. I think that this class is one that anybody can do themselves and that everybody kind of needs to know about. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a little about what cord cutting is, how it works, and how you can do it for yourself. And then we're going to do a meditation and a cord cutting between I can't even talk today, with the whole group. So I'm sure you guys know who I am, but if you don't, if you're watching the replay and maybe you forgot, I'm Stacee. I am I guess, best way to describe myself as a medical intuitive, psychic weirdo, energy healer, whatever you want to call me. I'll respond. And I'm here to share with you my spiritual gifts and my knowledge of all things spiritual. So I'm really excited to teach this cord cutting class for you guys and possibly share something that can help you throughout your life. And so first, let's talk about what is an energetic cord. If you know what an energetic cord is, or you think you know, go ahead and type it in the comments. But for those of you that are not aware of what an energetic cord and an attachment is, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to get out my handy dandy notebook. I feel like a Blue's Clues thing, but I'm going to draw some pictures with my incredible, amazing artistic talents. Relax there up. So you have a physical body and a spiritual body. So that's you, your little spiritual body. And anytime you are connected to someone, see if I can draw like this. Nope, I can't. Okay. So apparently that pen doesn't want to work anymore. Woohoo. Let's go to a new pen. So you put out an energetic signal, and that spiritual body comes out depending on who you are, how strong your energy is. Typically psychics, energy healers, gurus, shamans, their aura or energy is going to be a lot bigger. So they'll be like 20 foot out, but most people are between 6 and 20 feet out that you project your energy field. And whenever someone else comes into that energetic field, we can create cords and bonds, right? So that's one way that we create a cord and a bond. Hey, we're around each other. Let's make a cord and a bond. And that cord and the bond basically shares energy between you and that other person. Now, that shared energy can be a brief sharing. It can be a very large sharing. But just know that you can create them intentionally and non-intentionally between anybody that you come in contact with. So for me, when I was first learning about energy healing, I went to an energy healer to work on me because I was like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I feel like I'm dying. Help me. And she took me back to her office and kind of scanned me. And she's like, holy crap, you have like the energy of 300 people attached to you. She's like, what are you doing? You're not Jesus. You can't do this. And I'm like, I know I'm not Jesus. I didn't do it on purpose, And she kind of explained to me this is that sometimes we will just unintentionally create bonds. And she actually asked me, do you ever feel like compassion for someone? Do you ever feel, a strong emotion towards someone? I was like, yeah, all the time. And I kind of told her about like this homeless person that I passed on the road, and my heart just went out to them. And I was like, oh, I want to help that person. My heart is with that person. And she goes, you just created a bond, an attachment. And so anytime you have any sort of emotional connection with someone, you're going to create a bond or an attachment. Anytime you have a thought towards someone or they have one towards you, they're going to create a bond or a connection. And so that's kind of one way that we can make bonds or connections. We have cords and bonds and connections that are shared through family members, right? So I have 7 kids. I am corded and bonded to every one of my children. I am corded and bonded to my husband because we share an energetic spiritual connection. There was actually a scientific study done. I do not know if it's actual fact or fiction, but we're going to use it for just explanatory purposes now. It will be up to you if you actually want to research it yourself and decide for yourself if it's true or not. But what they said is they found that women carry the DNA of every person that they've ever partnered with within their body. I do know my friend, she is in charge of a blood bank, and I'm actually not allowed to donate blood because I've had so many children that there's so many antibodies within my body that I cannot donate blood. My blood would like kill somebody, which I was like, well, that's terrifying. So it is. And Morgan's like, well, that's unfortunate. Yep, it is. Right. So unfortunate because, in my case, I had a really abusive ex-husband. So there was a cord and a bond between us. Sometimes those cords and bonds are forced upon us, either by someone who is an energetic vampire who is intentionally, knowingly trying to attach to us and drain our energy. Those are typically people who are involved in some dark stuff that we don't really like to be involved in. They are typically people who act or react out of anger or jealousy. This can also happen with sexual trauma. I have experienced childhood sexual trauma as well as, been a victim of, sexual trauma later in life. So there were cords and bonds created with those, right? So there's a lot of different ways that cords and bonds happen. And some of those ones that we've just talked about are kind of not desirable. We don't want to keep those, right? And so partly this class is recognizing like which cords and bonds are we going to disintegrate and completely release? Which cords and bonds are we going to just clean and heal? My belief system is typically that we do not cut cords and bonds between family, but that we clean them, heal them, and send energy back that way. Depending on the situation, you may feel differently. So I leave that up to personal choice of how you feel, but making sure that if your intent is to cut a bond between a family member, make sure that it is not done out of anger, that is not done out of like, I hate you, I want to get rid of you energy, because that's just not going to solve what's going on. There are things that will happen as we cut cords and bonds. Expect readjustments of relationships, expect that maybe that person might call you, someone else might text you and mention their name, or you might see that person on the news, or something random will come into your life. Like you'll see something on television that triggers the memory. So the best way to describe it is think about it as like we're stretching this universal bond and cord like a rubber band, and we go in and snip that stretched rubber band. Those pieces are going to fly back and kind of snap a little bit. It takes a minute for the universe to rearrange itself and to rearrange itself for our higher good. So to give you an idea of kind of what happens sometimes with this, my dad has a medical office. He is a little bit of a playboy. And he was dating his secretary, and he dated her for like 30 years, and then they broke up. There was a lot of chaos in the office because they weren't getting along. And he goes, hey, can you do that energy clearing thing you do? And I was like, sure, Dad, no problem. Let me warn you. And he's like, no, just do it. I trust you. And I'm like, okay. So I went through, I cut the cords and bonds, healed them between him and her. I cleansed the office, shifted the energy. And within 2 days, all hell broke loose. She quit. He had to go in for emergency back surgery. It was chaos. It was complete chaos. But after a few weeks, things settled down. And he told me, he goes, that year was the best year financially I have ever had in my entire business. And he says, I don't know what you did, but people walked in and they were like, oh, it feels different in here. It feels better. I like the energy of your office, Doc. What'd you do different? He'd done nothing except for what I had done. And so it was very beneficial to him. Now, we're going to do this together, but I believe that through intent and visualization, you can do this on your own. There are people that will be like, no, you need an energy healer. You need someone to help you. That's a yes and no, right? I mean, because I really truly believe that energy healing and these type of things should be accessible and available to everyone, right? But if you're dealing with like a really, really intense situation, it might not hurt to be supported by a practitioner that knows what they're doing, that can kind of help you along the way. Someone that can support you if all heck breaks loose. So just know, like, if you guys all heck breaks loose, please email me if you need support, because I don't want to leave you guys all going, holy shit, what happened? But I like to give fair warning to people that, the universe needs to rearrange itself. Things need to shift. And in that process, things can get messy. Think about it this way. Say you buy this old house and you're like, well, I don't want the old house. I'm going to knock it down and build a beautiful house on top of that. It's a little bit messy as you knock down the old house. And then you start to construct and build the new house. And this is beautiful new house that's living on that property. But, during the process, it's messy. So just kind of keep that in mind, that things can get messy. I always try to forewarn people that it's a possibility that things will get a little bit hairy. The relationship may no longer exist. You may cut cords and bonds with this person, and your energy levels are going to shift, and your vibrational energy is going to be here, there's going to be here, and you're going to be like ships passing in the night, and your relationship may fade away because you're healed and they were only attracted to the unhealed person. So they may fade out of your life and just say, hey, peace out. I'm cool. We're done. There could be an outburst of anger or a confrontation from them, because they'll feel the energy shift. They won't know why. They'll start thinking of you, and then they'll be like, whoa, what happened? So just keep in mind that if someone like that you're cutting a cord with suddenly texts you and they're like ready to have a text war with you, or calls you to have like an argument over the phone, just be like, hey, I love you too much to argue. I'm not going here with you, and separate yourself and recognize that that's just them going, I've lost control of this person. I have lost control of the situation, and they don't understand it. So that may happen, right? We have to remember that, they are also going to have a new normal for them, and it's going to feel different for them, but we know what's going on and they don't. So they're just going to be, they might be reactionary. But remember that all behaviors, including dysfunctional ones, they develop as coping mechanisms, right? And so their actions and reactions are just part of their coping mechanisms. And there was an unhealthy dynamic that was between us. And, that unhealthy dynamic was serving a purpose for their unhealthy ego to be involved. And so it can feel uncomfortable to them, because all of a sudden they're like, I feel insecure. I feel self-conscious. What's going on? So very important that if that person comes at you after the cord cutting, that you just disengage, that you're like, hey, I love you too much to argue, you ignore them, whatever you need to do to just say, hey, I am not going here with you anymore. I am not willing to create a new cord, because what they're trying to do is saying, I feel that cord break. I think I'll try to make a new cord with you. So you can expect a great release. But, there may be an outburst from the other party. So kind of keep that in mind. But keep in mind as well that we're going to maintain a new, healthier state of being. And that requires healthy boundaries and continuing to act in ways that reinforce those healthy boundaries. So, my favorite phrase is, I love you too much to argue. I'll call you back when you're nice and sweet. Click, hang up on them. Or, if they're just going off on text, you can either say, hey, I'm not available for this conversation right now. Or you can say nothing at all. And saying nothing at all is okay as well. So, kind of keep that in mind as we go. I was just going to read a little bit here in my book. So here, this is a book that you so I'm also a certified pranic healer. Technically, this book goes with a class that's like 4 classes in, 4 certification levels in. So it's like, level 4 stuff. So if you think about like if you're like a Reiki healer, there's Reiki 1, 2, 3, Reiki master. This is like master level stuff. However, I feel that this should literally be the first book that is ever introduced to people, because it shows you how to do spiritual self-defense for yourself and for your home and for your office at work. So it's called Pranic Psychic Self-Defense for Home and Office. And it's by Master Kok Sui. I can never pronounce his name properly. You can find it on Amazon or go to pranichealing.com. I believe they sell the book there as well. And it will teach you about etheric fields and other ways that you can protect your energy and things like that. I will talk a little bit about protecting your energy, because some of the cords that we create and that happen are from energetic vampires. And so we'll want to learn to protect ourselves as well. So this is cutting the energy cord or the psychic link. So, with this, it talks about using crystals and things like this. It talks about creating like a target to divert their energy to. So, we set the intention that instead of, my dad sending me negative energy and anger, I'm going to reflect his energy to creator, to heal. I'm going to reflect his energy to a sunflower for absorption and healing, whatever you want to do with that. But you can program and deprogram diversionary targets. One of my favorite things, if you guys are not familiar with, I have a free class on my website you can take. It's Ho'oponopono, and I was told before I pronounce it incorrectly, but it is what it is. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness exercise. And so if you find that someone is coming at you and trying to re-engage because we've disconnected a cord, Ho'oponopono is very, very effective at shifting the emotional consciousness of someone else. And really what it is I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you. And it's recognizing we have a journey together, we had a purpose together, whether that purpose has ended or that we're forgiving whatever happened, and we send love and forgiveness to this person. I envision surrounding them with pink light, kind of like a Care Bear stare. You just envision that pink light is coming out of your heart. You surround them in gentle, soft pink light. And I can't tell you how many times I have seen people's emotions shifted just by doing this. My husband was kind of grouchy at me the other day. Sometimes husbands get a little just poofy for no reason. And so I just started saying this in my mind: I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry. I said it 3 or 4 times. And then I just imagined, like through intent, that I was surrounding him with gentle, loving pink energy. And at first wouldn't really notice anything. He was still kind of poofy. And then a few minutes went by, and all of a sudden his just persona and his attitude kind of just shifted. And he was like, I'm sorry for being grouchy. This is why I was grouchy. And so it kind of just helped him process those emotions and kind of move through those emotions easier. So what is the name of the book again? It is Practical Psychic Self-Defense for Home and Office. And this is by Master Cho Kok Sui. I can see if I can look it up for a link, but it is Practical Psychic Self-Defense for Home and Office. And that's what the author looks like. He's one of the main pranic healers. So he's since passed away, but he was a master pranic healer. I found mine on Amazon. This one's a little bit harder to find. They don't publish as much anymore. So let me put in the group chat. Let me just get the website, pranichealing.com. I'll just get the basic website for you guys. And you guys can look in the store, and you should be able to find it in the store. So There's the link. So you can kind of just look in the store as we continue to talk. So yeah, that's a good book if you're looking at energetic protection, learning how to protect yourself from energy vampires, why and how energy connects. It's going to go a lot more in depth than we'll have time in this hour class. MJ also posted an Amazon link. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, and I'm an Amazon book junkie. I mean, I am like always, I'd say once a week getting a new book. And my husband, he's just like, honey, you haven't finished the other ones you ordered. And I'm like, I know, it's an addiction. You know, you can see actually these are the two newest ones I got. We have Arizona Trails and How We Heal, Understanding the Mind, Body, Spirit Connection. This one I actually got used, the used bookstore, but it looked good. So it's like, I'm always glad to add extra books to my stash. I'm really, really big on learning. And so anyways, there's always a lot of great books that you can learn from. Let me get my notes back up. Okay, so there can be physical symptoms as well as we go through the cord cutting. So even if you do it maybe later, you decide to kind of watch the replay and do it yourself. Again, you might notice these symptoms as well. Typically, I see people burst into tears is usually like the main one. The second one is they are going to feel like really tired. Like when we're done, you may feel like, holy crap, I am exhausted. This is actually a pretty good sign that your body's like, hey, I need to heal. The body heals while it rests and while it sleeps. So if your body's like, I need a nap, go to bed early, drink some water and just crash. Some people might get stronger symptoms like nausea, lightheadedness. I had one lady that we did a cord cutting and all of a sudden she's like, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden out of nowhere, I have to go run pee. You know, like I just got to go. I've heard of people getting diarrhea. So I have not ever witnessed someone getting diarrhea, but I've heard of it. So there can be a very physical reaction because when we have cords that are not healthy cords, they're creating an energetic congestion within our body, and that energy has not been able to flow by it. So for a long time, sometimes for a lifetime, and all of a sudden the energy starts flowing and we're like, whoa. So at any time, if you feel like nauseous or lightheaded during the clearing, please like just lay down, or you can kind of open your eyes and move your body a little bit and kind of shift that energy. Sometimes you might even feel like a real rush of energy coming back to you, almost as if you had like a really good cup of like coffee or like caffeinated drink. You're going to feel like, whoo, I feel great. If you feel a lot of energy, I would suggest taking a walk after the class to kind of dissipate some of it. And that's because, you know, your energy is no longer being drained from you. And so your body's like, whoa, my energy came back. I feel great. So, you know, trust your inner knowing, instinctively feel like what you need, and what you need is exactly what you need. You know, there is no right or wrong. It's not like, okay, everybody has one symptom, everything happens this way, because we're all having different experiences. You know, there's a reason for each one of you being here to cut cords, right? And those reasons may not all be the same reasons. And so we want to recognize that. We want to recognize too that after the class, you may feel emotionally raw, and just tell yourself, oh yeah, it's the class. Let me just take some deep breaths. Let me focus in on myself. I would say maybe tomorrow, or if you feel like it tonight, take a long bath with Epsom salts, essential oils, sea salt, kind of soak your energy. If you don't have a bathtub, sea salt scrub, you can make your own sea salt scrub with just, you can either mix it with a body wash with some salt, or you can mix it with some olive oil or something and scrub down your body with that salt to help cleanse your energy. Or like a salt, you know, like a sea salt soap bar works as well. And you can do that in the shower. Typically, if you do the tub, I do suggest showering after just to completely cleanse the energy. But if you're in just the shower, you can just envision that that energy is being cleansed. Ismaila asked, what if it is a coworker's energy? Yeah, coworker's energy. You guys think about this. When you are at work, you probably spend more time at work than you do any other place for your waking hours. You know, you spend a lot of time at work, and it's going to be really, actually, you think even more important for someone to cleanse that energy between someone that you work with and to set that protection up. If they're an energy vampire, if they're draining you, if they're toxic, you don't always have control over who you work with, but you have control over how you absorb that energy, how you accept that energy from them. I will say, just be mindful with work, you know, just like how my dad, you know, we cleansed and cut the cords and the secretary quit. This is not saying that you're, you know, someone at your work might quit, but you might find as you start to heal that you become misaligned with where you work. I had a client that I was working with, and as she started healing, chaos started breaking out at work, and she had to change positions. And you know, she went from them saying like, oh my gosh, you're doing an amazing job, to all of a sudden they're like, no, you're doing a horrible job, even though she'd been working really hard. So just understand that, you know, at work, they hired a person at a certain vibrational level. They hired you where you were in an unhealed version. And if you were moving towards healing, your healed version may no longer align with the unhealed position that you were at work. As of the time of this call, my husband actually was kind of looking at jobs and stuff, and he goes, holy crap, there's a ton of jobs out there right now. And he was telling me how many bonuses and things that employers were offering, and like how much people were looking for jobs. So at least as of the time of this call, there is a lot of availability and openness for you to shift a job and a position, and find somewhere that's more supportive of you and your spiritual healing, and one that's not going to be emotionally energetic drain on you. So, you know, obviously your decisions determine your destiny, and that's a choice that you have to make. But if that choice is aligned with what you want and what you need, you know, now might not be a bad time to look. At least keep an eye out. So yeah, that is kind of most of my little introduction to cords, to cord cutting, and kind of what happens when we cut cords. Does anybody have any other questions regarding cord cutting before we get in a little bit deeper to doing the actual cord cutting? Anything that I can clarify for you, or information that would be useful before we start? Let's see. Is it not the same? Is it not the same as ending a soul contract? Cord cutting is different than contracts. And so, you know, with contracts are more of, let me think of a good kind of idea here. So like my husband, when he was 8, he made a contract to make a vow of poverty, right? And so he was like, you know, God, I promise to take a vow of poverty and be an instrument in your peace and to work for thy glory and this and that and the other. So he took a vow of poverty when he was 8. You know, that as an 8-year-old, he did not understand what he was getting into, right? And so that might be a contract that needs to be burned and cut and released. The process of contract burning, contract, like releasing contracts is a little bit different, a little bit of the same, a little bit different, because we're kind of recognizing and trying to kind of understand what that is. And I can kind of, let me get my notes up for the contract burning here. So let's see, I'm gonna just look through my notes here because it's been a while. So when we make those inappropriate contracts, you know, we can clear them and release them. But looking at how to do that is making a declaration, overriding contracts. So it's not really something we will totally do exactly today. I can do another class on this. This cord cutting is kind of like here, contract burning is kind of here. So it's like kind of we need to take steps to learn that. But you know, typically what you would say if you're kind of cutting a contract or releasing a contract is like, I declare and decree all contracts that do not serve me and my higher good are null and void and hereby unmade and released, so be it. You know, there's other ways that we could do it, but typically that's kind of, you know, in a nutshell, how we would do that. I believe in divine timing. I believe that there's no coincidences. And there are times when, you know, whoever your belief system lies in for your higher power, where our higher power will redirect us in life because we're not on the right path, because we're not heading the right way. So we may think, okay, I'm going to do it like this up here, and then the universe has got something else in mind. So just be flexible with how you act and react, you know. Well, kind of I've told this story a few times before, so forgive me if you've heard this, but about 2 years ago, I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. I don't want to do coaching. I definitely don't want to step into my spiritual gifts. That sucks. No, not going to do that. And I was like, well, I used to be a florist when I was 20. I liked being a florist. I'm going to do that again. So I got a job as a florist and I was managing a pretty upscale floral shop. It was a lot of fun. I only worked there 3 days before I got in a car accident that knocked me out of commission for a year. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything, right? Because the universe and, you know, my higher power is God was like, hey, I have other plans for you. Stop moving the other direction. And you think after that, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. I'll step into my spiritual gifts. No, I started a book publishing company with a narcissist and spent a lot of time learning how to deal with creating boundaries, right? All great lessons for me to learn, all things that I needed to learn. However, you know, the universe was like, no, I have a path for you. You're not on it. I'm going to redirect you until you get on that path. You know, and so just keep in mind that the universal higher power will may not always align with yours, and be open to all possibilities and shifts and changes. Because sometimes when things shift and change, we keep trying to fight against it. We're like, no, I want to be here. No, I want to be here. And it kind of stops working out for us. And we're like, why is this so hard? Why is nothing ever working out? Well, because you're not aligned with your path, you know. And the universe has tried to redirect you 52 times and you're still butting your head against the closed door instead of noticing, hey, the back door's open. I think I'll go out that way and find something else. So yeah, just keep that in mind and with flexibility as we go. But I'm going to light a little bit of sage and we're going to kind of start deep breathing, and we're going to move into the cord cutting meditation. And I'm going to kind of walk you through, it's kind of the general process. Honestly, when I do it for someone, it changes every time. So it can be different every time. But you are more than welcome to watch the replay over and over again and go through it with as many people as you feel the need to. I will talk and remind me if I forget after this about energetic protection and how we can make sure that we're not allowing the cords and bonds to reconnect again. So, dun, 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 without further ado, we are going to get going on the cord cutting. If you need to grab a drink or get more comfortable, if you want to lay down, you're welcome to do that, which is why I'm chugging some of my water. jaw. And we're going to start with some deep breathing. And the reason that we do deep breathing is to kind of just reset our nervous system, to refocus us in on the intent and purpose of the call and what we're doing. So when you do this, you can continue to deep breathe if you want, but we're going to start with 3 deep breaths. And that's a deep breath into the nose, completely filling your lungs, and then push that out through your mouth. As you breathe in, sometimes I envision I'm breathing in pure white light. And then when I exhale out, that I'm exhaling out any old stagnant energy. So how you do that is up to you, but that's typically how it's most effective for me. But really kind of fill those lungs. And we're going to do it together. And so we're going to start with our first breath, where we deep breathe in 1. You're going to pause for just a second and then exhale through the mouth. And 2. Pause and exhale. And 3. Pause and exhale. And you can continue to deep breathe as we go. And focusing in on yourself first. And I want you to just recognize yourself, how you feel, how it feels to think about releasing and disconnecting from the energy that has bound you to someone or something. I want you to notice if it makes you feel anxious or scared or sad, or maybe happy or joyful or elated, or maybe just like you can take a deep breath. Maybe you're excited for finally moving on. There's no right or wrong. There's no up or down. It just is what it is. And we just want to recognize the emotions first, because the emotions reflect that we are human, that we feel human emotions, and that as spiritual beings having human experiences, those emotions are there to teach us, to create a great understanding within us and our bodies. And so as we continue with this meditation, we're going to take a walk. We're going to walk, walking down a path. Notice your path. Take a deep breath, let go of any fears. Notice the rocks on the path. Maybe it's concrete, maybe it's grass. Notice the scenery as you continue to walk down a path, down the path, continuing down until you see a house. I want you to notice the house. What does the house look like? What color is it? How many stories does it have? How many windows? How many doors? Are there trees in the front? Is there a lawn, flowers, or nothing at all? And we're going to continue to walk towards that house. And we recognize that that house is a familiar house, that we may have seen this or we've been there before. And we're going to walk up to the front door of that house, taking a deep breath, we open the door. As we open the door, we see a long hallway. And in this hallway, there are many more doors in front of us. Notice the color of the doors. Notice what the hallway looks like. And I want you to pick your favorite door, the one that calls out to you. And I want you to open that door and walk into that room. Take a deep breath and release any fear. Blow out the anxiety. You are safe. You are protected. There's nothing in this room that can harm you. Notice the room. Notice the color of the room. Notice if there's anything in the room. Is it empty? Is there chairs, a rug, a fireplace, a couch, windows? Just take the room in for a moment. Take a deep breath. Just feel the energy of the room. You're going to notice that now that you feel safe in your room, that there's a knock at the door, and we're going to go open the door. On the other side of the door is the person that you are here to meet today. The person that we want to cut cords and ties with. The person we want to heal that bond that has bound us for so long. The one that we want to release. They are standing there. They cannot enter your room without your permission. So you may choose to invite them into your room, or you may choose to talk to them at your door. Wherever you are comfortable connecting and talking with this person is totally fine. I want you to envision that you're holding your hands out in front of you. And in front of you starts to form a ball. And that ball is filled with the heavy weights, the emotions, the toxicity, the negative energy, and anything that does not serve you connected with this person. That ball may grow in size, it may change color, it may change shape, but I just want you to feel that energetic ball in your hands. Notice its weight. Notice that that ball might feel heavy, heavy, very heavy. It is the ball of energy. It is the pain from this connection and relationship that you have been carrying far too long. And it is time to release this energy, to release and let go of this big, heavy ball of weight that has been burdening your heart and your soul for so very long. You notice this person looks at the ball, and that with both of your approvals, or just with yours, I want you to drop that ball onto the ground and watch it shatter into 1,000 pieces. And those pieces lay on the floor as a gentle healing wind blows by and carries away every piece of dust broken memory, every painful experience along with it, healing and releasing all of that energy that no longer serves either of you. Take a deep breath in. Now that you have let go of the heavy burdens, I want you to look down at where your heart would be, and you're going to see a cord and a connection. That cord or connection goes from you to this other person. And you notice what this cord looks like. It can be a rope, it can be a rusty chain, it can be barnacles or a rubber band. Whatever it is, it does not matter. Just notice what it looks like to you. I want you to just look at that cord and know that it is time. It is time to release. It's time to break that unhealthy cord and bond that connects you to this person. It is time to take your energy and your power back, to tell this person they no longer have permission to drain your heart and your soul with the toxic connection that connects you both. And so, looking at your connection, you notice that you have a tool in your hands, and that is the perfect tool to cut this cord. And you take that tool and you break through that connection. You cut it, you smash it, you snip it with a pair of shears, whatever you need to do. We cut that connection. And just notice that that cord, as it is cut, starts to fall apart like ashes in the wind. It blows away, leaving no connection between you and this person that is unhealthy and damaging. That all the painful connections are released. Take a deep breath in. Notice how you feel. You may feel lighter, brighter, happier. You may feel some sadness. However you feel is all right. Feel into the emotions and allow your body to experience that emotion. Allow your body to experience the disconnect. Now, if it is someone that you want to reconnect with and create a healthy connection with, you may envision that a small cord of golden light reconnects you to this person. That we set the intent that only healthy bonds and connections can be made to the person that I have connected to, and that no energy bonds or connections that are unhealthy or harmful can ever be made. If you choose not to reconnect to this person, we'll sweep over your heart chakra with very gentle white light, sealing over any remaining wounds, any cracks, breaks, or crevices, allowing that wound to start to heal. We'll also share with love, kindness, and gratitude that energy with the other person as we tell them Thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for teaching me something I needed to learn. Thank you for creating awareness. But it is no longer appropriate or healthy for us to maintain a connection. So I permanently and completely disconnect from you. Take a deep breath in. And now it's time to say goodbye to this person. To tell them thank you once more as they walk out of the door of our room. They walk down the hallway alone and they take the steps out of our home. If that person has caused us any harm that is physically or emotionally damaging, if that person has broken any spiritual laws or physical or worldly laws that have caused us harm or damage, we set the intent that justice may take over, that truth may be known, and that those that are willing and able will judge this person and exact consequences as needed. That it is no longer our job or our purpose to hold any energy towards this person. We may give them our complete forgiveness, or we may not. That choice is yours. And that person may leave. I want you to go back into your room. Notice if the room has changed. I want you to just find somewhere to sit or stand in that room that makes you feel comfortable. I want you to notice that coming from your heart, your soul's light radiates out from you in a gentle, healing way. And that light begins to grow and surround you, repairing any remaining holes or cracks or crevices that are connected with this person. That light continues to grow with its beautiful golden countenance as it reverberates and vibrates energetically and fills that room with that beautiful light and energy. And that healing light and energy not only fills the room, but it spills out the windows and the doors, completely encompassing your house with beautiful, gentle, healing energy. I just want you to sit and feel the energy just for a moment. Take a deep breath in. It's now time to leave the room, to walk down that hallway. You walk out that front door. You turn to face that house. And you realize that house has disappeared. Because what was that house except for you? That house was a mirror of your subconscious, of all the memories that you hold, of all your beliefs. And know that you can walk down that path anytime you need to go back into your house, to go back into another room and continue your healing process You may repeat this with other people. You may repeat this healing with other circumstances. Anything you want to heal, you have that capability of healing. I want you to take a deep breath in with me. And speak out loud with me or in your mind. I permanently clear all negative attachments and emotions backwards through time, throughout all generations, forward into the future and through my posterity, sideways, up and down, on all layers and all dimensions. I permanently clear and release. Take a deep breath in. And say thank you. You can just sit with the energy for just a moment, feeling the energy and how it shifted within your body. You can start moving your body, wiggling your spine, your shoulders, your neck, your fingers, your toes. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room. And take just one more deep breath and notice how you feel. Notice if you feel any shifts or any differences. So we talked about at the beginning being energetically sensitive to ourselves. Definitely making sure that we're not doing something that will disrupt us energetically. So probably steer clear of the news, scary movies. Don't listen to heavy metal. That's probably, kind of like picking energetic scabs. We want our body to kind of be able to kind of continue to release, staying well hydrated. You can go walk out barefoot in the grass and release some energy that way as well. Whatever feels good to you. If you have any other emotions that are kind of coming up that, come up the next few days, just recognize you're like, okay, I just released some heavy stuff and these emotions are purging from my body. And just be gentle with yourself. If you start to notice heavy emotions coming up, just be like, okay, this is part of my healing process. I'm purging these emotions. Know that, the process may take a few days, a few weeks, even a month, depending on how you heal and how you release. So just be mindful of that as we continue to go. Now, when it comes to energetic spiritual connections, is how to keep them from latching on again. I'm going to get into that. So yes, if you choose not to reattach the cord, you do not have to. So sometimes it's like, okay, I have my husband and I realized we had a really unhealthy cord and bond between us that had been broken and damaged many times. And so we cut that cord and envisioned regenerating the cord between us to a healthier cord. But if you're like, nope, peace out, like my ex-husband, like, peace out, thanks for the lessons, but I'm done. They cannot have permission. So when we talk about how to keep that person from reattaching to our energy, one, energetic attachment happens with emotional connections. So say they call you and you have a really emotional conversation and you're like, well, I don't know, maybe I should let them back into my life. That could create another energetic connection. There are people who use things like black magic and they're energy vampires that will try to create a connection between you. And so shielding your energy and setting intentions with shielding your energy is really important. Setting your energetic field looks differently for everyone, but typically people will envision like a bubble of light. Some people do mirrors. I have a friend who literally takes a zipper and I am zipping up my energy. I do kind of like a pillar of light, like a tube of white light around me. Whatever works for you is fine. But what we do is we condition, okay, what is my shield? So let's go in and we'll kind of practice this. And everybody we're going to shield from the person you disconnected to. So, okay, what is my shield? What does it look like? What color is it? Is it white? Is it blue? Is it pink? Is it square? Is it round? Is it like a ball? Is it flowers? Is it a puffy white cloud? Is it, stars? Whatever it is, just envision that energy kind of starts to grow out from your body and you push that out as an energetic shield. Now we need to tell our shield what its purpose is. What is our shield doing? Okay, shield, your purpose is to protect me from harmful connections, interactions, and cords that this person might send to me. So, I would say my shield protects me from, state that person's name, or maybe it's a business, or maybe it's a group of people, but my shield protects me from, let me try to think of something. My shield is protecting me from my ex-husband. That's my shield. And that he may not cross my shield, may not attach to my energy without my permission or knowledge. And that no energetic cords or bonds can take place without my knowledge and permission. So that's what it's doing. Let's tell it how strong it needs to be. I tell my bonds and my shield that this shield is impenetrable to my ex-husband. So this shield is specifically focused on him. This shield is impenetrable to my ex-husband, that all cords and connections and bonds and any negative energy that is projected towards me may not pass. Without exception, this is strong. This is incredibly strong, and nothing may ever pass it that is sent to me from him. Now, if you're setting these cords, these things with like, hey, I just want to create a general shield during the day, I'm going to kind of tell you about that really quick, because some things about shields is if you can't feel energy and emotions from someone, you may become a little indifferent or unemotional. So, okay, I'm setting up this impenetrable shield that's like steel around me right now. Oof. Okay, great. And then maybe our friend calls us and they're like, hey, I want to have a conversation. And you realize that you have no emotional like connection with someone that you normally do. Your shield's too strong, So like for me, when I set a general shield, my shield is, I'm setting a shield that will protect me energetically, that no one may attach to my energy without my knowledge and permission, except for my children, my family, and my husband, except for my clients who have permission to attach to my energy during our calls, but that if they do attach to my energy, that the energy does not have permission to harm me physically or spiritually. And I put in that very specifically for me, because one of my spiritual gifts is feeling everybody's shit, and it can become very physically painful to me. So I am really careful to say, hey, if I feel your shit, it can't hurt me. And that was really important, because there was a time where I was just letting everybody shit in, and it made me feel like shit. So a lot of shit. So we kind of set that up and we say, okay, this is what it's going to do. And then we say, how long is this shield going to stay in place? I would definitely advise against saying the shield is going to last forever, right? Because we want to be able to adjust and take down our shields. Maybe someone decides to do a lot of healing work where they become just an amazing, better person. And you can see that. You can see wow, they've done some great healing work, and I kind of want to let them in, right? So we don't want to set a permanent shield. I would say probably rarely ever do you ever want to set a permanent shield. But, you can set it for, 3 days, 7 days is typically what I tell people to do shields for, because after that, they kind of need to be reset and re-energized, cleansed of all that dirty energy. Can I share the mantra for us to use it? So I almost, what I teach is almost creating your own mantra, because the words that connect with you emotionally are going to have a stronger impact than a mantra or affirmation that I give you. So, what does your shield look like? How strong is it? What is it doing? And how long is it staying with you? You can set that. Like I said, I typically say 3 to 7 days. Doing it every week is great. You can set it a little bit longer, but it's up to you. But you just know that if that person starts to creep back in, you might have to reset and re-energize that shield between you guys. And really what all that is just envisioning that shield coming back up again and what it looks like and telling it what to do. I will typically ask shields, often like when I'm doing healing work with clients, I will put a shield around my client and I will say, this energetic shield is set to stay for X number of days. And I've been known to set shields up to like 60 days with a client. And when I do that, I say this shield can re-energize and draw energy from the plants, air, tree, sun, and earth around it. Then it will draw healthy energy to continue to re-energize itself. So you can also kind of add that in if you want. I would typically say that's more of an advanced practitioner thing. So like if you're a Reiki master or no Reiki or energy healing, you'll probably understand more how to do that. If you're someone who's like, I'm just learning about energy, I would say, just kind of take baby steps with it. But really go with what you feel and how you feel. That's going to be important for you and how you're going to work that. Know that you can disconnect between one person. You can disconnect between a group of people, an entity, a corporation, a job, a town. I did an energetic disconnection between the town that I grew up in. I shouldn't say grew up in because I've moved like 42 times in my life, but where I spent a lot of my teenage years and had negative experiences, I cut energetic ties to that town because I felt anxiety and stress every time I went there. So, you can say like, oh, all the people who bullied me in high school, I disconnect from you. And kind of you can lump people up in a group as well and say, I am disconnecting from this group or this person. So that's kind of up to you how you do it. And what feels right with you. I would always, this is one caveat I would say, is ask your body, ask your soul what you need, right? Versus going up here, go into your heart and be like, what do I need? What do I need? And that is going to take you much further than trying to like, okay, I'm going to cut cords between every negative person in my life all at once. I wouldn't do that. When I first started out as a baby healer, I had an office where people could come to my office and I would work with them. And I had this gentleman come in and he goes, I've been working with energy healers for 15 years. I know all about this. Let me tell you how this is going to go. And I'm like, okay. And this is kind of before I learned to create boundaries and things like that. He's like, I have a massive cord in my back and I want you to disconnect it. I was a warrior in a past life and this needs to be disconnected. And, I could energetically feel cords and things like that. And I was like, wow, yeah, there's a big cord back here. And, but it didn't feel right for me to do it, but he was so demanding and I was still working on boundaries at that time. I just was like, okay, you're the client, you know best, whatever works. And so I did it for him. Dude had back pain for 3 weeks after. We had to do a lot of energetic healing to undo that because his body was not totally ready for it. Because we were like, let's just cut all the cords at once. And that was too much for him. So I would definitely advise against like trying to do everything at once. I talk about this, I've said this for years, that healing has layers. It's like the movie Shrek, where he's like, ogres are like onions, they have layers. healing's like an onion, it has layers. You peel back some, you cry, you release, and you're like, oh, there's another layer, and you peel it back and you cry and release, and you keep going and going until you get to the center. So just recognize that doing that way of healing is much gentler for your body, mind, and soul. And so that's just my personal viewpoint and recommendation. So I know we've gone a little bit over, but does anybody have any final questions when it comes to cord cutting and how to do it or what you need to do in order to do cord cutting? And you're welcome to unmute or type. Either way is fine. So what if you need will cause more turmoil than can handle at this point in time? How do you figure out how to balance what you need versus the turmoil it will cause? Okay, so that's a great question. So how do we know, like, okay, like I need to let this go. I really need to just start this healing, right? Versus like, okay, well, I'm going to cut cords between my second grade teacher that was mean to me. And then tomorrow I'm going to cut cords from the lady at the gas station that was snarky. You know, sometimes we want to go on an accelerated path of healing. Like I was saying, for me, the gentler path is, you know, tune into self, you know, and say, okay, me, who do I need to cut cords with? And whatever name or instance pops in your mind, that's where I would start, because that's your subconscious, that spiritual body going, this is the person, and focus on that person. And then go in again the next time and, okay, this is the person. You know, we talk about this healing journey, we think it's like this straight shot when it's kind of this up and down. And there are going to be times where you're going to need periods of rest and restoration and going back in. So I typically lean towards the gentler way of, you know, I wouldn't do more than one person or one group of people more than like once a week. I probably wouldn't do healing more than once a week. It's just one person. So, okay, how do you balance what you need versus the turmoil it causes? Well, I mean, if you're in this class, you're obviously feeling like you need this. And, you know, this class connected to you for a reason where you're like, I need to let this go. And, you know, other people's turmoil, other people's actions and reactions are on them. And if they're going to act like poops, then let them act like a big poop, right? Just know if they come back in and, you know, they start coming at you or saying things to you, I love you too much to argue. You be like the gray rock where you're just like, okay, you know, if they come into your face personally and they yell at you, just pick a spot on their forehead and stare at it and just be like, okay, are you done? Be as much of the non-reactionary as you can and just say, hey, I'm letting this go. What if it's fear or low self-esteem, anything like that? You can cut cords and bonds and release emotions. Yeah. You know, typically emotions will get stuck in the body, in the chakras and the energetic points, you know, and you might be able to feel it and just say, hey, let me dust this off, or hey, let me pull this out. You know, you may be corded and bonded to like I was talking about, like a place, like a city or a town. You know, if your body, you can just ask your body. Do you guys know about muscle testing? Let me teach you real quick about muscle testing. Muscle testing is a great way to bypass the conscious mind, go into the subconscious spiritual mind, and find where you need to go. So there's a few different methods. Some people do this where they'll push down, but this is really tricky to do on yourself. It's better like if you're doing on someone else. I have a friend where she will make a loop on her fingers and she does this. It looks highly inappropriate to me, so I don't like this method, but I'll teach you. But I would say if you're walking around the grocery store doing this, people are going to go, what is this person doing? So if you're doing this method, you can also do it like this, where you're breaking rings. And so what we do is we set our yeses in our nos, right? And so, we can go, okay, my yes, I have blonde hair. Yes, that holds strong. I have purple hair. And see, like, no matter how hard I like do this, I'm going to break free because it's not true. So if you're doing it this way, it's going to do this, right? And I'm kind of just not really doing it right now, but I'm showing it. It'll break free if it's a no. The way I do it is sway testing, where, I go in, my hair is blonde. Yes, I pull forward. I go in, my hair is purple. Nope. And I pull back. That's my yes and my no, and then you can ask your body, okay, do I have a cord to fear? Like, and my body is actually saying yes right now. And I tell you guys all the time, I'm a very unhealed healer. I present myself where I am, where I sit. And some of the times I'm healing with you guys. So my body says, I have a cord and a connection to fear. Okay. Can I heal this cord and connection? My body's like, yes. Can I disconnect it? Yes. And then, so, okay, my body has confirmed I have a cord and connection with fear. It's also confirmed that I can disconnect that. And you can use that with the person or the place as well. Okay, great. My body's given me permission. Go back, watch the class, go through the meditation, and disconnect from fear. If you're doing like an emotion, look at like, what does that emotion look like? So instead of inviting in the person, you're inviting in the energy. So it may be, fear may look like, for me, we actually did in the class, my fear was ice cream. So fear might be a big giant carton of ice cream. Fear might be a tree branch. Fear might be a clown. Whatever fear is, just open the door and see what it looks like to you, and then disconnect from that. It's that visualization process that goes into your subconscious and says, okay, what is this and how can we disconnect this? Healing is a process. It's a continued journey. As you go throughout life, you're going to continue to make cords and bonds with people. You may, like, someone may cut you off on the road and like flip you off and you're like, ugh, and you get emotionally frightened to that person. You may create a cord and bond between you guys. That's why I love the Ho'oponopono so much, because like I get really emotionally reactive when people cut me off. I don't know, I don't like it. So I'm like, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you for being a part of my journey today. And we send them off with love and forgiveness, and that process disconnects that cord and that bond. So Ho'oponopono is a really quick way to kind of do a quick disconnect as well. Sometimes you're going to need both, where you're going to like really visualize, I'm disconnecting the cord and I'm going to add in forgiveness work. I have a client who has quite a bit of trauma, and I will tell you, for her, not once has Spirit said she needs forgiveness work, because some of the things that happened to her were not her fault. She has no one to forgive. It wasn't her fault, right? And so keep that in mind. Do your muscle testing. Is there someone I need to forgive? My body is saying yes right now. Who do I need to forgive? Okay, my body's showing me I need to forgive one of my oldest children. So, that's kind of how it works. My mind's like, oh, you need to forgive this child. Okay, cool. It's gonna feel overwhelming. And that's why, in order to not overwhelm yourself, take it slowly. Maybe you're not going to do cord disconnecting from like the person that's like the biggest problem in your life. Maybe you're going to start with something really small. Like I was talking about how I had a fear of ice cream. Maybe your first cord cutting is going to be ice cream. And we're going to start releasing little baby things just to kind of get your body used to it, get your subconscious used to kind of releasing things. And that's especially important if you're dealing with trauma, because, your body's like, I've been like this like for a really long time and I have a lot of cords and, and that's maybe too much for you. So that's why it's really important to ask your body, what's okay with you? What is okay that I disconnect from? And then disconnecting from those things. And so, like I said, like one of my fears was it last week or the week before last? But mine was ice cream. And it seems dumb, but when we dug a little deeper and asked my subconscious, why are you scared of ice cream? Got down to the core of, ice cream's unhealthy. Ice cream will kill me. And so, okay, let's disconnect from that fear, because very few people actually die from ice cream. It was an irrational fear that needed disconnection, right? Yours is freeways. Oh, I can imagine. I've gotten used to freeways, but man, the first time I drove on a freeway, I thought I was going to die. It was in Las Vegas during rush hour. It's like, ah. So now I live near freeways. We go on them all the time. But yeah, sometimes there's these little things that you can do. Maybe, like I said, maybe you want to start with that second grade teacher that was rude to you and gave you a C because they didn't like you. You know, maybe you want to take little baby steps and start, because if you think about this, you think about your body. Where's my notebook? Have I already lost my notebook? There we go. Okay, so we were talking about all this little energy on this little person. So that's our little person, right? And so let's see, hopefully you guys can see that. You know, we have cord, 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 cord. You know, we were talking about, you know, how, you know, we feel the release and the weight of the cords. But you say you have all these cords going everywhere, and they're cord after cord, and they're tangled, and they're just a mess. It's kind of like a ball of Christmas lights. You know, you're going to start picking out a little bit at a time, a little bit here, you know, and those, you might just say, okay, I'm going to release this cord. And then that cord might facilitate the releasing of like 5 other cords. But I always, especially when I work with my clients, I almost, now it's a role of mine. Like I go where your body says, I go where the subconscious said, not where we want to go, not where we think we need to go, but where the heart leads us to go, where spirit says, this is where we're going to go with this. And your body will be so much happier with cord cutting in that way than if you're just going to try to cut cords with everything and everyone all at once. Because that's our desire. You know, I have another gal in my group class, and she was like, okay, I'm done healing this. I'm ready for the next healing. And I feel stuck. And I'm like, well, sometimes there's these periods of rest between healing. You know, sometimes it's time for us to pause and just take a break, you know, and let the body kind of heal. Because if you think about it this way, say you need 3 surgeries and they're all kind of minor surgeries. Maybe you need an ingrown toenail, maybe you need a hernia done, and you know, maybe something else, right? And they're all minor and they're all kind of like, you know, whatever. But if you go do them all at once in one day, you're going to be like, oh, ow. And it's just, everything's going to hurt and it's going to be hard. Ishmael says, I was trying to put all of them in today. That's okay. You're fine. Like I said, it's no big deal. Just notice if you start feeling a little raw and stuff that, you know, think about it like, okay, if I got a cut, I'm going to put a little bit more ointment on it. I'm going to take a little bit more time to energetically heal. I'm going to recognize those feelings and those emotions that are coming up around me so that I can kind of process that. So just be mindful as you process that release, that it's going to, you know, it may take a little bit longer because we did too much at once. It may be okay. But just be mindful of your body. What is your body telling you? What is your heart telling you? What is your subconscious telling you you need? And that's going to be vastly more powerful than anybody else saying you have to heal this way or you have to do this. You know, your body knows how to heal. Your body knows how to release. We just need to remind it. We just need to say, hey, I think you forgot about this. I think this, go do this, you know. We are capable of healing. In my belief system, everything and anything we can heal. I truly, truly, truly believe that. As we heal the spiritual, we make room for the physical to heal. As you disconnect the cords from the people that have been bound to you for so long, you may find that your body starts healing. We have this beautiful woman in one of my classes, and she texted me because, you know, she's awesome. And I gave her my phone number, which I don't do for everybody, but she texted me and she's like, my husband took the wheelchair ramp off of my van. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. How awesome. And she goes, no. You don't understand. I'm not using my wheelchair anymore. And I was like, huh? And she's like, she's like, you healed me. And I'm like, no, I didn't heal you. You healed yourself. You did that work yourself. She had been doing the Ho'oponopono forgiveness. She had been cutting those cords and ties between all of those people in her past. And by releasing that, it allowed that energy to flow and allowed her body to start self-healing. I will never claim to be the healer of anyone. I just am a facilitator. I'm a conduit of light. Will this make everybody who's in a wheelchair walk again? I can't guarantee that. But what I can guarantee is that you're going to feel at least spiritually and energetically lighter as you go through the process. So just be mindful of yourself, be mindful of your bodies, be gentle with yourselves, especially after this class. You're going to feel a little raw, a little emotional, and that's okay. Have a beautiful night, my spiritual humans. And just know that I love each and every one of you for allowing me to help you and supporting me on my healing and my purpose, which is helping you heal. Bye, everybody.